The last one struck the Earth 65 million years ago, and probably was responsible for wiping out the dinosaurs. We don't know when the next asteroid will strike, but if it was big enough, it could sterilize our planet. That would be the end of the 5 billion year long story of life on Earth. But even if we avoid such a natural catastrophe, we could all too easily end up destroying ourselves. In the last 10,000 years, humans have come to dominate the planet. We're so successful that it's tempting to think we are evolution's grand prize. But I believe intelligence is probably overrated. It's not necessarily a good thing for a species' survival. Bacteria have managed without it for over 3 billion years. Intelligence, at least in our case, leads to technology. And there are many ways technology could wipe us out.
Discovery passing over the western coast of South America.
From nuclear weapons.
It'll be crossing over parts of Peru.
Even if the risk of a nuclear war happening in 1 year
standing by for the beginning of this rendezvous pitch maneuver is due to begin at 12:15 p.m. Central Time. Just a few minutes from now.
The chance of catastrophe falls to 1 in 10.
You can see the shadow of the spacecraft beginning to creep up there on Discovery's right wing.
Personally, I worry that even this might be over-optimistic. Although we are clever enough to have designed such weapons, I'm not sure
Discovery holding right at 650 feet away from the station.
As time marches relentlessly into the future, the universe has other surprises in store. There are some powerful things out there, some of which could destroy the Earth without any help from us. As the universe continues to dance to its ancient rhythm, the stars will come and go in a relentless cycle. And because there are hundreds of billions of stars, there's always one dying in a supernova somewhere. In our galaxy, for instance, a star dies
As Discovery flies with the International Space Station over South America, the station casting its shadow down there on the shuttle. Katie Coleman and Paulo Nestle have taken up position inside the Vesta service module. They have their cameras in hand. They will begin to take pictures of Discovery as soon as it begins this maneuver to flip over on its back and show its underside to the crew so they can take a look at all the different heat shield tiles that are there.
In 1967, when the Cold War was at its height, US military satellites picked up a massive burst of something called gamma radiation. Gamma radiation is the most dangerous type of radiation known. It's also the telltale sign of an atomic weapon. Were the gamma rays detected evidence of a new and powerful Soviet bomb? Thankfully, the answer was no. After careful analysis of the data, they discovered that the sudden bursts of gamma rays were actually coming from space. Not even the Russians had that kind of technology. Decades later, we still don't have proof of what causes the bursts of radiation. But there's a well-respected theory that they are produced by a special kind of supernova called a gamma ray burst. What's more, there might be one quite nearby. this massive spiral plume of plasma, 8,000 light years from Earth, is a star called WR104. Deep inside the star itself is a bright sphere, throwing off a shell of hot gas as it nears its end.
So at 12:15 p.m. Central Time, Space Shuttle Discovery begins its final backflip maneuver known as the rendezvous pitch maneuver. It will flip over on its back. Katie Coleman and Paul Nestle are in the Spezza service module of the International Space Station. Both of them have cameras in hand, snapping away hundreds of pictures of Discovery during this maneuver. Paul Nestle has a lens that is 800 millimeters. Coleman has a 400 millimeter lens in her hands.
The star destroys itself as
they will take very detailed photographs of Discovery's heat shield, all the different tiles that are on the bottom of the shuttle, to make sure that they are in good shape after Discovery's ride into orbit 2 days ago. This is a historic moment for Discovery. It was the first shuttle to ever do this maneuver back on STS-114 in 2005. This RPM maneuver was created in the wake of Shuttle Columbia. Took place back in 2003.
No one is sure if WR104
it was put into every shuttle mission that has visited the space station since then. It gives the ground teams here in Houston a chance to take a look at the shuttle in detail to make sure that the outer part of the shuttle and the heat shield is as they expect it to be.
The beam would cause spectacular auroras, stripping the ozone from the atmosphere, allowing deadly radiation from the sun to strike the Earth. It may sound like science fiction, but this could be the second time skies like these have been seen on our world. 450 million years ago, over half of all living creatures were wiped out in a great extinction. One explanation is that a gamma-ray burster irradiated the planet so badly that Earth's ecosystem virtually collapsed. I don't want to worry anyone, but I think it's definitely a good idea for the human race to venture far beyond the Earth. We would be wise to keep our eggs in as many baskets as possible.
Thankfully, that process has already begun.
In my opinion, the launch of Apollo 11 is probably the most important moment in human history. It was a turning point for the universe too. Life.
As Katie Coleman and Paul Nestle take these pictures of the underside of Discovery, it's a very methodical way that they do this. They focus on certain areas of the shuttle on the bottom side. Both Nestle and Coleman have practiced this several times. They've worked very closely with these two cameras, and they've seen both diagrams and video of the parts of the shuttle that they need to focus on.
Of the cosmos, the spread of life to other parts of the universe. As the universe gets older, we will have to get wiser. I think we'll have to go much further than the moon. At the very least, to Mars. The red planet is likely to play an important part in our evolution, and maybe even in the story of the cosmos. It's the second and possibly the most important stepping stone on humanity's journey to the stars. Robot missions missions to Mars have revealed a spectacularly
Discovery currently 582 feet away from the space station.
Station Discovery entered.
I imagine that being a human pioneer here would be an exciting business.
And although Ben-Ali's gone and now in a coma, Dave claims a legacy that will take a long time.
Nestle and Coleman have wrapped up their photographs of Discovery's heat shield. They spent 1 minute 29 seconds taking those pictures. As we mentioned, they take several hundred pictures between the two of them. Once we get an exact count later on today of how many they took, we will make sure we pass that on to you. But they will begin the process of downlinking these photos to the ground teams here in Houston soon after Discovery docks.
From 80 degrees to minus 200 in a matter of minutes. If the cold doesn't get you, the low gravity will. Mars is just half the size of the Earth and has just 38% of its gravity. Over time, explorers' bones would weaken and their muscles would waste away. Spend long enough on Mars and you could find yourself too weak to safely return to Earth.
Discovery putting on quite a show there as it and the space station flying over the northeastern part of South America, about to head out over the Atlantic Ocean.
Here, there's nothing more than a thin whisper.
We are now less than an hour away from Discovery's docking.
At just 1/100th the pressure of our air. Mars is also bathed in harmful radiation from the sun. Even though it's further away, unlike Earth, it has no magnetic field and no ozone layer to protect it. Early explorers would have to be careful to minimize their exposure. Perhaps they'd even have to live underground. But one day, I think it will be possible to drastically alter conditions on Mars, perhaps using spaceborne mirrors to supply warmth and power. With perfectly foreseeable technology, much more could become possible. If we could erect giant domes made of glass and plastic to block out the radiation, inside them we could enrich the atmosphere. 500 years from now, which really is a very short time indeed, I think
Discovery's
Mars
crew
will
has
have its
almost wrapped up this RPM
own
maneuver.
currency, its own cuisine.
You can see the shadows getting fairly long
We'll still be able to get a hand
on the exterior of Discovery. This is why they talked about the window opening at 12:15 p.m. Central Time and
But it's
12:23
clear that
p.m.
as the
Central Time.
universe continues to
They have to
age,
get proper
even
lighting
advances like
on
these
Discovery to
will
make
not
sure
be
that the
enough to
pictures turn out as
guarantee
expected.
humanity's existence for a very
Those
long
shadows
time.
began to appear right as predicted from the ground teams here in Houston.
Look further into the future, and ultimately our solar system will follow the same path as countless billions of solar systems before it, and cease to exist. Right now, the Sun is in the middle of its life cycle. During this phase, it is getting gradually hotter and brighter all the time, by about 6% every billion years. In about 5 billion years, the Sun's temperature will have grown to nearly 200 billion degrees.
Discovery's distance now 671
At this
feet away
point,
from the space station.
the Earth will be an
It will
unrecognizable
now pull up in
ball
front of the
molten
complex. It will align itself
All
with the
life
harmony node and
having long
pressurized
since
mating adapter
perished.
number 2. This is a view from the centerline.